A little bit. Project.
We're going to get started in just a few minutes. If you have an index card and you already know a question that you would like to ask for our panelists, you're welcome to go ahead and write your question down. Once you have your question written, if you'll just hold it in the air, someone will come and get it from you, and then we will take it and make sure that we've got it at the table.
I guess we're the someone. I need to feel like I have a job. Would you come up for one? Right.
I wish I could come up. It was supposed to. I don't want to. So, yeah.
I'm announcing the PTA Council website. Correct? Facebook? PTA Council Facebook.
Good evening. Does it sound okay? We're going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to let you all know that tonight's event will be posted on the Norman PTA Council YouTube page so that people who were unable to make it tonight can go back and review it at any time that they would like to. And we will also repost those links on our Facebook pages as well so people can find them. Good evening. Welcome to the Pioneer Library. My name is Carrie Manzer, organizer of Impact and a career educator for Norman Public Schools. I will be chairing our pre-meeting and telling you what to expect from this evening's event. We would like to ask you to please silence your cell phones now, and should you need a restroom, they're located right outside the room. Also, we ask that you please do not boo or hiss at the responses you might hear. You are welcome to applaud for responses you support, but we ask that you please meet those ideas with which you may disagree by simply remaining silent. We sincerely appreciate your willingness to abide by this meeting's norms so that we may maintain a respectful environment for our meeting. I would like to begin by thanking our co-sponsors for this event, Impact Norman, the Norman PTA Council, the Cleveland County Retired Teachers Association, and Together Oklahoma. The stories you will hear tonight, their concerns and their hopes, are the result of conversations with educators, students and parents in Noble and Norman. You will hear from people who are working hard to make public education possible every day. At the heart of this meeting is an idea around organizing, that otherwise ordinary citizens can stand together, share their stories, and a vision for the future, and hold public officials accountable. The presentation and concerns you will hear tonight are local. They are about the children, teachers, and families living and being educated within this district and the District of Noble. It is important for the candidates running for the House District to hear them and respond with what they intend to do about it. This event is nonpartisan and does not support or endorse any candidate. Both candidates were invited. The presentation you will hear tonight will inform us as to some of the challenges we face in public education. We are learning it is not just the information that is important, but what we do with it. We are learning about power, and for us that comes from organized people standing together on the things that matter to them. We must build relationships across ideological, racial, and socioeconomic lines. We must talk to each other and learn to talk to public officials and our business community leaders about these issues and how we can best address them. After the presentation and discussion, we will be asking the candidates to commit to working with the next steps with us. not on us. The most important of which is asking the candidates to commit to meeting with us and respond with concrete actions that think of what we will hear. Please welcome the co-chairs of today's meeting, Debbie Hill and Sandy Bayhan, the rest of the action team, and our candidate. If you are a candidate, please join us on the stage.
Good evening. Can you hear me, Nancy? No. Can you hear me now? No. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. You got to get up close and personal. Okay, I'll remember that. I'm with the Cleveland and McLean County Retired Educators Association, and on behalf of all of the retired educators in Cleveland and McLean County, I'd like to welcome you this evening. Be there. Before we start, a couple of instructions again, just for those of you that missed it the first time. When you came in, you were given cards, line cards to write questions on for the candidates. What will happen is that if you haven't already done so, raise your hand with your question. Someone will come around and pick it up. It goes back to the table back here to the screeners, because what happens is a lot of times people have the same question. And so we just combine them or make sure that we check them off. We don't keep repeating the same question over and over. And then the screeners will give the questions to me, and then I will pass the question on to the candidates once we begin that portion of the program. So if you don't have a card, or if you need something to write with, please raise your hand. We have pencils, we have pens, we have writing utensils for you as well. On my one good eye. Okay. Debbie? Gotta get up close.
Hi, I'm Debbie Hill. I'm a retired public school teacher as well. And I also work with Together Oklahoma Budget Advocacy Group, and also work with the Save Our State Coalition also. I would like to begin tonight, or we would like to begin, with an opening word. Allow me to read to you for a moment. Article 13, Section 1 of the Oklahoma Constitution. The legislature shall establish and maintain a system of free public schools wherein all the children of the state may be educated. With that in mind, I would like to call.
I can talk loud. I used to be a teacher, so I can talk real loud. My name is Annette Price, and I'm the president of the Norman PTA Council, a mother of 3 children in Norman Public Schools, a business owner in Norman for the last 19 years, and a communications specialist at the Oklahoma State Department of Education. Public education in Oklahoma is struggling. One does not have to look far or listen long to hear a troubling story about the changes that have happened in our public schools over the last few years, and even extending back more than a decade. Teacher and support worker pay, growing class sizes, and more challenging student populations put our education system in a difficult place given the level of support we give it. To put some facts to this, according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, Oklahoma leads the nation in per pupil cuts to state funding for public schools since 2008. Our teachers have some of the lowest salaries in the nation. Just last week, it was announced that in July and August of this year, we have approved more requests for emergency teaching certifications than we did in all of last year. There are more than 1,400 statewide, and 84% of those lacking any teaching experience. To put this in perspective, in 2012, we had 32 emergency teacher certifications. This year, 1,429. It's estimated over 60,000 kids will be taught by an emergency certified teacher across the state this year. In Norman, our very own state teacher of the year left the district and the state to make enough money to support his family. This is not okay. As you heard in our opening, the Oklahoma legislature has a constitutional responsibility to our public schools. Legislators are responsible for determining what a free public education looks like, the level and type of service that are needed to be provided, and how to get the funding necessary to do that. Education has never been a more important ingredient for our citizens to lead happy, healthy, and productive lives. It is a necessity in an increasingly complex and competitive global economy. We know that a good education improves outcomes across nearly all metrics of human development, and a lack of education does the opposite. We need a champion for our public schools. We will be asking the candidates some questions based on the stories you will hear, and we will take some from the audience tonight. On September 12th, we will go to the polls for this election. We hope that you will prioritize public education as you make that decision.
Okay, I'd like to call forward Erica, R.J. Price, Erica Wright, Charis Freeman, Leah Esker, and Alex Rozier.
I am a student here in Norman Public Schools, and I have a story to tell about a teacher that I had last year who really impacted my life, that left the profession so that he could provide better for his family. His name was Mr. Bartell, and he was my acting teacher for a while, and he really made a difference in, I think, me and my classmates, because he encouraged us to be authentic. He was accepting of all of his students, and I know that he had a strong connection with each of us because he really cared about the students of Norman. He really thought that he could make a difference if he really thought that he would make a difference, and he was very unique as a teacher. I don't think I've ever had anyone like him, and I doubt I will. He was an acting teacher through and through. He was a favorite among me and my fellow classmates, and it was a shame to see him go. One of the best things about him was that he wasn't afraid of the weird, or he wasn't afraid to try new things, and he wasn't afraid of anything, it seemed. And he could make the most stubborn, ill-influenced, most just stubborn student want to be in the class, want to stay and learn. He actually made people want to go up on stage and express themselves so much. I've never seen anything like it. And then January, he left for his job. We all knew that it was coming months prior, but everyone in the class cried. And we were sad to see our favorite teacher leave. And I can only hope that that never happens again to me or any student, because it was a very, very sad day that we hope will just never happen again. Thank you for your time.
Erica? Is Erica here?
Hello, can you hear me? My name is Erica Wright, and I am here representing the community of Noble. I stand before you tonight as a mother and a business owner, a registered independent voter, and a newly appointed board member of the Noble Public Schools Foundation. And my story today is basically a tale of two cities with very different challenges and needs. The median income for a family in Noble is around $22,000 a year less than a family from Norman. 13% of our women are single mothers, and 40% of households in Noble have children under the age of 18. Our rural school district covers roughly 160 square miles, so to put that in perspective for those of you from Norman, that is pretty close to the entire geographical area of the whole entire Norman School District. So we have some
clear challenges when it comes to transportation that are very unique to our community as well. Yet despite all the odds that are stacked against our kids living in poverty and some of the other challenges that we face in our community, Noble schools have still managed to rank in the U.S. News and World Report's recent ranking in the top 20 districts in Oklahoma, ranking first in districts of our size. That's tremendous. I am so proud of the community that I live in, but I'm here today because I fear that that level of achievement may not be sustainable with the current financial situation that's going on coming from our legislature. That's my little 5-year-old back there, baby. She's in kindergarten and she goes to school for 4 days now. I believe with my heart of hearts that our incredible administration at Noble Public Schools has done the very, very best that they could do with the poor hand that we were dealt. They had to make some decisions to go to a 4-day school that were very tough decisions, and there's no winners in that. And Noble doesn't have as high of a property tax revenue to help weather this storm. So we're really feeling it where it hurts. In addition to 4-day school week, our arts programs are suffering from the teacher shortages. So the young lady who was just up here speaking about how much the speech and drama impacted her life, we don't have that right now. And in Noble, our kids, for the most part, they can't afford to drive to Norman and come take private lessons for guitar or drama or go to Sooner Theater Camp or some of the things that are afforded to our neighbors up the highway. Many children have an extra day of hunger to look forward to over the weekend, and undoubtedly some of our little bitties are at home alone on Fridays because their mom and dad still have to work. And the daycare options in our community are very limited, and to come to Norman, it doubles your bill for daycare. Sorry, I lost my place. So, vouchers aren't really something that are going to help Noble kids because there's a private school for us to go to, and nobody's going to build a charter school in Noble. So those solutions would severely undercut our district's ability to educate our children. So I'm just going to leave you with this. If elected, it will be your responsibility to fight for my children just as passionately as if they attended Truman Elementary. This is what has been called an accountability session, and our families in Noble need you to be held accountable to being bold and brave leaders. We are looking to elect whichever one of you best demonstrates an understanding that real leadership is less about the leaders and more about the ship. There are some things right now. So Noble needs to know that you value our seat at the table as much as Norman, and we're going to need some convincing tonight. I've already submitted my questions, so I'll pass the mic to the next. Thank you.
Freeman, and you'll have to excuse me. I kind of was asked to do this at the last minute, so I'm not as prepared as some, but I will do the best I can. I am an educator here with Norman Public Schools, and let me tell you a little bit about myself. I came to teaching as kind of a second career. I started out alternatively certified 7 years ago, went back, got my master's degree in early childhood education. Education is a passion. Teaching is a passion for me. I am a 3rd grade teacher here in Norman. I don't make a whole lot of money. But for me, it's not so bad. I have a husband who has a decent income, and it's not awful. 7 years, I've started my 7th year. I net every month $2,500 net a month. I think about my colleagues that I work with every day, single parents, who have children. And I don't pay for insurance through Norman Public Schools. I have insurance with my husband. So that doesn't come out of my paycheck. And quite honestly, I'm not real sure how much insurance the teachers pay out of their paycheck. But I can't imagine living off of less than $2,000 a month and raising a child or children. So that's the first thing you guys need. The second thing, one other thing, I have been blessed to work at a school here in Norman that has quite a few interns come through. We have quite a few interns who come through OU. Every last intern that I have seen, except for one over the last 7 years, has left the state of Oklahoma. Because they cannot make a living. The last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to kind of go way off on the other end now, is I'm a third grade teacher. Who are my third grade teachers out here? Who knows about Reading Sufficiency Act? My students are coming in as second graders right now. They are scared half to death. I have parents who already are coming to me and asking me about the reading test in the spring. That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And as an educator, I appreciate the need for assessments. I really do. We use them every day. We have to have them. But to have a law that states that a child cannot be promoted because of one test, it's not fair. So I want you guys to really think about that as you move forward and you represent all of us in this room. That's all I have. Thank you.
And I teach 8th grade language arts at Whittier Middle School here in Norman. And I too was asked to fill in at the last minute as a speaker because the teacher we wanted to speak, he's at his part-time job tonight after teaching students with autism all day long. So that should tell you something. I think I speak for many of us. We just want what other people have. I have a master's degree in education, so does my husband, who also works in the field of education, and we are worried about how we're going to send our own 2 children to college. That shouldn't be an issue for a family of 2 professionals, but it is, and that's the reality. My school has weathered the storm better than others. Here in Norman, I feel like our school board uses the resources we have very wisely, but we still have seen impacts. Due to the lack of funding, most notably in our, what do you call these, kind of sideline services that help our most needy students. We are down 5 or 6 staff members from where we were when I began in 2008. We no longer offer summer school to middle school students who are behind in reading, and we used to do that. We no longer can offer after-school tutoring to those students who are struggling to pass the reading test at the end of each year. We no longer have a literacy or a reading specialist at our building. We have only one gifted and talented teacher. We used to have a part-time, so 1.5 teachers. Now we only have one who has to serve, I think it's about 700 students. So it affects students at the highest level and at the lowest level. We all have to kind of make do. And what that does to the regular classroom teacher is a lot of the support we used to get from other specialists has gone away. So now we are overworked and having to stay later, and we're happy to do it. We want to serve our students. We will do it every time. But it leaves us spread thin, and it has an effect. I want to add one more thing. When I was checking my email after school today, every year I ask parents to send me an email just introducing their child to me so I can get to know them better. And I noticed that 2 different parents signed their email, "Thank you for teaching." Not "thank you for teaching my child," but "thank you for teaching." And that really struck me because I think they recognize that I'm making a sacrifice to stay in this profession, and I don't really want to be seen that way. This is my calling, and it's not really a sacrifice, but that's the way the public is viewing this. They see that we are making a choice and a sacrifice to stay here in Oklahoma, and it really shouldn't be that way. So I ask that you fight for us at the Capitol, and we need our funding restored. Thank you.
Excuse me, I gotta walk over here. All right, at this point, we ask the candidates to introduce themselves, and then we have some questions for them. So I think we'll start with the gentleman on my left here.
Hi, my name is State Representative Mark McBride, and I'm going in for Darren today. He had something come up, but I just want to read an opening statement that he sent me. I am very sorry I'm not able to attend this evening's event. I wish I could join you right now, but I had already committed to meet with someone and support a candidate to keep his word. Even though I can't be there in person, I still very much want to get your input and answer your questions. If you want to contact me directly, Nick Pappas, who's sitting back there in the back, his hand up, he can get you his phone number and address immediately following tonight's forum. I have met with thousands of voters at the doorstep, but in case we haven't had the chance to meet, here's a little bit about myself. I am a Navy veteran. I graduated from OU with an electrical engineering degree in 1991 and earned my MBA from UCLA in 1999. I have a background in education up until I began this campaign. I have been teaching upper-level engineering classes at OU. And before that, I had a great career as general manager for a global services firm, working with Fortune 500 companies to improve efficiencies, reduce costs, and increase productivity. That's the experience I will bring to the Capitol. It's not enough to want more money for education and want money for teacher pay raises. We must have representatives with the financial expertise to make that happen. Again, I'm sorry I cannot be there in person, but if you would like to hear from me directly, I have accepted an invitation to a House District 46 candidate debate on KOKC radio this week. I hope my opponent will do the same. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Thank you.
Jacob?
Hello, everybody. I am Jacob Rosecrans. I am a lifelong Norman resident. I'm a father of Isabella, 9 years old, and Jonah, who is 8 years old. Teaching's my passion. It's what I do. If I look tired, it's because I just taught 8th graders today, all day. Y'all know I actually choose 8th grade. That makes me kind of crazy, I'm sure. But it is a passion for me, for sure. And I ran last year as well for the same position against a man that I respect, Scott Martin. And he has, of course, resigned, which has put us in this special election. And so I'm happy. Thank you very much for coming out. It means a lot to me. And any questions that you might have, I would be happy to answer anything that you have. Thank you.
Mr. McBride has graciously agreed to spend some time with us. He can't stay the full time, but he's going to do the best he can in the next 30 minutes or so to answer some of your questions. You guys will each have approximately 1 minute. Carrie Menzer will yell at you when you're trying to.
I like to yell.
Once again, if you have questions and they haven't been picked up yet, please raise your hand. Someone will get them and take them back to our screeners. So we make sure we're not doing duplicates. So I'm going to start with a question. In this time of structural budget deficits, and considering many of the issues you've heard here that can only be addressed with additional funding, like educator pay, what is your commitment to additional revenue? And Jacob, we'll start with you.
Obviously, without revenue, nothing can be changed. My particular party has come up with the Restoring Oklahoma plan. That is raise the GPT to 5%. If you look at other states that have the oil and gas reliance, they're at 7, 12, and they're doing fine. So I think that we could go to 5% with no problems whatsoever on any kind of job creation, and it would help bring more money into our coffers, which are starved. We have no money. We have no money. I've been told by sitting representatives right now that without revenue, we can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and nothing will get done without more revenue. So I am behind the Restoring Oklahoma plan as well as the rest of the Democratic caucus.
Mr. McBride?
We do have a revenue problem. It's a huge problem that needs to be addressed. I know Darren is he's a money guy. Matter of fact, I wanted him, if he was to get elected, to be the A&B vice chair, because I think he has the knowledge and the common sense to do these things. Now, we have to get into whose taxes do we raise in this process? Do we do the gross production tax? Do we do a tax on renewables? Do we do a fuel tax? And these are some of the things Darren and I talked about. As you end up in a fight with somebody all the time. Even amongst the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, there are constantly differences of opinion. I'm not going to vote for that if you're going to tax this bunch, or I'll vote for it if you'll give me this. So what we need, and I think I can speak with Darren in this, is bipartisanship. We need to work across the aisles. We need to learn to work with one another, because I think that now I'm saying this on my behalf, what I think. The problem on the state and federal is we don't know how to reach across the aisles, and I think Darren's that kind of guy. From my conversations with him, and I've had a lot of them, that I think would be that kind of guy to reach across and work with Democrats as well as Republicans.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Would you support raising the gross production tax? Considering all the things that are happening right now, the possibility.
I don't think. I would say that Darren. I don't know. That's something we really didn't hit on. Is the GPT. I mean, because it's so just to get you guys think that we're so far. In North Dakota, you'll quote a 10% gross production tax. North Dakota, it is 10. 5 goes to state, 5 goes to county. If it's on tribal lands, 5 of that goes to the tribe. So taxes, if you take all the deductions and everything there, you get down to about a 3.8 on the gross production tax. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that for Darren. You can get with his guy back here and have him answer that, because I don't want to give you my answer, because his answer may be totally different from mine.
Okay. You touched on a couple of things that forced me to kind of alter a little bit the questions that I'm getting to ask, that it would be redundant. But when you talk about that you need to learn to work together across party lines, what kinds of things need to happen in order for that to actually occur? Mark? What has to change?
Well, in my conversation, here we are. I'm talking about Mark McBride. I'm not talking about Darren.
You're there.
I'm here. Okay. So and I'm pretty close with some of the Democrats. Emily Virgin's a close friend of mine. I had her at a coffee. We had 30, 40 people the other day and talked about issues. Those are the kind of things. We need to start at the bottom and change things instead of starting at the top. I have great respect for Speaker Charles McCall. I have great respect for the minority leader, Scott Inman. But for some reason, them and the governor, nobody up here can get along, but us down here, we kind of see some things that we need to fix and we need to change. And I think there's some compromise to be had. Wes Watkins told me, and he's the only guy that ever won Congress as a Republican, Democrat, and Independent, all three. He told me one time we were in Nicaragua, it was a private school for embassy kids and stuff. And I'll never forget it. He told those kids there's a difference between the principle of compromise and the compromise of principles. And that stuck with me ever since then. I think Darren would agree with that we've got to learn to compromise. We can't have everything that we want all the time. It's got, I mean, I've worked with, well, never mind, I'm talking about me again, so go ahead.
Okay, Jacob, if you were elected and you're walking in there as a newbie, little rookie here, what do you think you can do to contribute to the culture that would help bring about the change he's talking about?
Well, thank you for the question. And what I can bring is the same thing I bring as a teacher every day. I coalition build. I don't ever ask somebody, one of the students, what party they are. I work with whoever I work with. I don't look at this idea of a big tent party is how a person is. A person is a person. They have their own feelings and thoughts. And so when I go up there, I'm going to have that same process. I'm an independent voice for education. That's something I harp on because that's the way I truly believe. I don't want to have, say, a corporation or even a party tell me what to do when it comes to public education, because that has to do with, you're talking about everybody. You're talking about the parents, children, Oklahomans, the future of Oklahoma. And so when I go, if I'm blessed enough to become your next representative, then when I go up there, I will have an open mind. That's what you have to have. And also make sure that people understand exactly where I'm coming from. And then we can work from there. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Would you, this one goes to Jacob first. Would you support a dedicated revenue stream for education? And if so, where do you think that revenue stream should come from?
Well, yes. Because again, education is the #1 issue. You've heard the stories. I've knocked on over 4,000 doors this summer, and that is the #1 issue. That doesn't matter if it's Republican, Independent, or Democrat. Education is the issue. So yes, a dedicated revenue stream would be wonderful. We tried with the penny sales tax. I know why that didn't go. I know why it didn't work, because now if you look at it, it did around the borders, right around the border states, because people were losing their teachers to Arkansas or Texas or Kansas even, which I can't imagine. Sorry. Pretty bad up there. Yes, we would have to look into something. I don't have your answer for that right now. The penny sales tax, the one big problem with that would have gave Oklahoma City and areas the highest tax rate in the country. So I understand on both sides of that what happened with that. But yes, we need to have some type of dedicated revenue for our schools.
Mr. McBride?
That's the only way we're going to get it done. I mean, if you keep, I'm going to say for myself, I'm going to talk about Darren here in a minute. So these deals have given pay raises for $1,000 and different deals. That's not enough. It's just absolutely not enough. I know Darren would agree with me. We talked about this, and we're doing creative math trying to get to a $6,000 pay raise that we can't fund. And Darren's the kind of guy that's got the common sense. He's got the bookkeeping expertise that could get us. That's why I'm saying, if he does win, I'd like to be A and B chair or vice chair. But I did discuss with him about some designated revenue sources that I am looking at. One of them was a bill that I had last year taking part of TSET funds, and for those of y'all who, that's the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Fund. We've got $1.3 billion in that fund, and I don't think they spent the money right. I think that we could use say 15 million or more of that a year just to put into health-related fields in public education, school nurses, maybe a health teacher, whatever. It's about, it's only about $30,000 a school district, but that's something. That's a start. That's a start. I worked with OEA and I shared this some with Darren. I didn't get to go into it deeply. OEA and I are working on a deal. Friday's op-ed in the Oklahoma, you can read about it. I won't tell about it here, but it's a good plan, and I've kind of shared some of those things with Darren. But getting them passed, that's the other thing in the legislature, and that's one of the things I've talked to Darren about is it takes 3 quarters to do a sales tax increase. Anything we do that raises any kind of taxes takes 3 quarters.
I heard that. Okay, would you support, let's start with you this time. Would you support a repeal or a re-examining state question 640? That's the one that made you have to have 3 quarters?
There's part of me, and I don't know, this is something Darren and I haven't discussed, part of me that, yes, I do not like it. We could do a whole lot of stuff with 51 votes, but is it good for Oklahoma? Maybe to have to meet that higher threshold to get things passed, I don't know. Maybe, but then again, then we're putting it on the people. Okay, so now we're going to send these ballot measures. You're going to have to vote on these tax increases yourself, and that's not what you sent us there for. So it's kind of a catch-22. I think there's some good and bad on it. If we wouldn't have had it this time, we'd had a $1.50 cigarette tax. I mean, whether some of y'all think that's good or bad, I mean, it's a mixed bag of nuts. So.
Yes, we need to repeal state question 640. I know a little bit of the history of it. I mean, it came from the Democratic Party, like I said. It's a bipartisan issue that will never even, you can't raise revenue at all right now with it in place. So if I'm blessed enough to be elected, yes, I would like to get up there and do my best to lead the charge to repeal that. Thank you.
Respond to that?
Certainly.
But then again, you have to go back to vote of the people. It's constitutional, and can you get that passed? That would be the hurdle that you'd have there.
Would you at least consider perhaps lowering the 75% to a much more manageable threshold?
That's a definite conversation to be had, because that threshold, I mean, you got to have a lot of compromise to get 75 within our own party.
I don't think it's going to.
Okay, we're going to do one more tax question, and I'm going to move on to something else. Would you support going back and redoing the cigarette tax? Again, this time perhaps with a vote of the people. We'll start with you, Mr. Brown.
No, I think we can get things a lot better ways than a $1.50 cigarette tax. I think there's I wouldn't vote for it again. No way, no how. I think it was a last ditch effort to and I don't know what Darren's opinion would be on this at all. We didn't even discuss cigarette tax, but I think it was, there was some good things about it, but no, I wouldn't.
Jacob?
Yes. I don't like the way it was done. Obviously, right at the end of the year, legislative session last year would be. I believe that it can be done the right way. It's part of the Restoring Oklahoma plan as well. So.
Okay. Jacob, this question is for you. As a teacher, what type of experience do you think you could bring to the Oklahoma House?
Well, first of all, the stories that I could tell. Okay? I mean, you've got to understand that a lot of I'm sure you can speak to this as well, Mark, is that you don't get your information normally from a guy who actually was there, just the front lines guy. So hopefully my stories could help sway somebody who might be on the edge or the fence. Maybe they're not quite sure about which way they're going to vote. And then I can bring a story and be like, this is just how bad it is. We did clean out closets for my special needs kids this year. That did happen. We did fire 1,000 teachers at Oklahoma City Public Schools last year in order to handle the budget cuts. These things are real. You heard the stories, but I will have lived it, so they won't have to go far. So that's my answer.
Yeah, I think, Darren obviously taught in higher ed and hasn't taught at the in the grades, K through 12, but I hope that he would take my advice and not to have been a teacher in common ed. And there's people here that can attest to this, that I'm not a teacher, and I need to get teachers' advice on how to do things in the classroom. That's where we need to start. We need to quit trying to tell you how to teach and let you tell us how you need to teach. And I would hope that Darren would take that advice from me.
Okay. Biting my tongue.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, okay. I would hope that you would take our advice also, and that you would come to us more. I mean, I can't, everyone in this room as an educator may not feel the way that I do, but as a public school teacher, one of my biggest frustrations was you were enacting laws without ever talking to us about how that would impact.
When it comes to for me personally, when it comes to education, the first person I call is OEA, and I call my superintendent of schools, because in my opinion, I've got the best school district in the state of Oklahoma, public schools. Now Norman's right there with us, because you're right here next to us, but like I said, I'm not a teacher, and I ask them on everything, and I think you can look at my personal voting record, and that's what I would recommend that Darren do as well. That's all right.
Jacob, did you want to add anything to that?
OEA is a good source to go to for information. Source superintendents, for sure, they have a pulse. The frontline teachers are the ones who are really the ones you need to talk to see exactly how the RSA, which is the third grade reading test, really affects children. My kid is, he's a joke now, and he is in third grade this year. And he has told me already, I hate school, quote. And he doesn't hate school. He's scared of that test. Now, I didn't force that out of him. I asked him. And his sister's a really good reader. She's a fourth grader now, so she flew through it. It was very easy for her. But he's not as good a reader as she is, so he's freaked out. So that kind of story needs to be told to our legislators so they can make a better decision when it comes especially to funding our schools and creating laws that don't really help the actual teachers or the actual kids, to be honest with you.
My sister's a third grade teacher in Morris. She's got 29 kids in her class. Believe me, I hear about it.
All right, if you would, we're going to start with Jacob on this one. All right, share with us your stance on charter schools.
Okay, well, charter schools, I understand why charter schools are here. They're meant to be kind of like a scientific lab to see what works, and then you can bring them to the public schools. Well, there's an issue here because right now charter schools are being compared to public schools. Well, you can't do the same things in a public school as you can in a charter. You don't even have the same type of kids. You can cherry pick for all intents and purposes. And I just don't think it's fair whenever it's an apples to oranges, not oranges to oranges or apples to apples comparison. And there's a reason why we don't have charters except inside the inner cities. Well, we have one in Norman now, and I believe Tahlequah, or I'm not quite sure, Seminole. So there's a reason why they're not expanding. That's because we have some of the best schools in the nation. Look at our Norman public schools. I mean, we're talking about top-of-the-line schools. I mean, and then Noble, just like Erica said as well, top-of-the-line teachers, top-of-the-line schools, even through all the budget cuts. So you're talking about, we don't need a charter necessarily. Yes, in the inner city, I can speak to that a little bit because I understand what the idea is, because right now, and this is, I'm trying to go fast, the funding issues have caused our schools to be the F school. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so a parent sees that with the A to F scale, and they're like, well, I want to bring my kid to an A school or charter school and get them out of here. and you have a brain feed, and then that's exactly what is supposed to happen. So then you can go right in and start privatizing and do whatever it is you want to do with the schools. And it's just a nefarious plan, and it's what I fight every single day at the state level.
So this is something Darren and I did talk about extensively, and then I texted him again today to make sure that he is not for charter schools or vouchers, because I've had some people say the opposite, and I just wanted to make sure, because I'm not going to put myself on a line for somebody that is for charter schools or vouchers. Norman, we've got great school districts. Why do we need to do that? We don't even have a charter school. Do y'all have one in Norman? You have one.
It's about
I mean, it's okay, but I'm a public school guy. All my kids, I went to public school. My parents went to public school, and what was she reading? Just we have a constitutional authority that we have to provide a free school for kids. Now, people want to put their kids in these schools. That's great. You can go do whatever you want to, but Darren, it's not for charter schools.
If I can follow up with that, if I heard you right, you do not support vouchers either?
No.
Hard on that, or just no? I know, but don't know.
Yeah, hell no. yeah. Ivy, she's educated me on all this stuff over the years. No, not really, but I just don't think. I mean, then are we gonna? What happens to you? You don't have any kids in school. Where's your voucher? You pay taxes to go to education. So, where's your voucher for you for the taxes that you're paying for my kids to go to school, to get a voucher and go to a private school? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I'm anti-voucher, have been since I started teaching in 2012. It sounds like, because I've talked to, like I said, so many people in the district, like a good idea. Oh, here, take a little bit of your tax money and go to a private school of your choice. First of all, private schools, their tuition is extremely higher than any kind of voucher you're going to have. So you're not talking about an equitable solution in any way, shape, or form for our schools. And those ideas are being bandied about. And I will be the frontline warrior against vouchers in any form.
Really quickly, because I know you've got a limited amount of time, and I have a question that I want a clarification. Can you clarify Derek's position in higher ed? Was he teaching assistant, or was he on the faculty?
I do not know that. I don't know.
My husband taught in the room after last semester, so he said that he's a doctoral student, Aaron is a doctoral student in industrial systems and engineering at OU, and last year he taught right after my husband in a class of physical science. So he's a doctoral student who's teaching it. Kind of teaching is correct. No, that's he's running the class.
Okay, all right, let's do one more. All right.
Oh, she's looking for
Okay. And this, we're going to start with you, Mr. McBride, because and I'm sure you've heard this in the halls of the legislature. Some legislators say there is waste in public education. Can you state where that waste might be?
Okay, I think Department of Ed should be audited. I think everybody should be audited. Now, as far as waste, I don't know. More public schools, we took all Dr. Romines took all the Cincy pods, refrigerators, lamps, and microwaves out of the rooms and saved $1.5 million last year. I mean, if you're looking at those kind of things that you can go after, but I think anything out there, any state agency, there is something there that you can probably fix. But as far as saying there's waste, no, I'm not going to say there's waste. There might be something that can cut, or heck, I don't know now if we cut so much, but no, I wouldn't use that word. I don't think Darren would use that word either.
Okay, Jacob?
Well, you hear all the time, that's kind of the other side of the argument, that, oh, well, don't worry about revenue, we'll just cut. Because there's waste. I mean, an auditor should think the audited programs, that's for somebody else to decide. I mean, I'm sure they have people up there that can do that. Do I think that our schools are showing waste? We can hardly, we can't even, we're in survival mode. I mean, we can't even innovate, hardly, because of all the cuts that have been made. So if there's some type of waste, I don't see it, except for the fact that we're wasting our time trying to provide for our schools.
Right.
So there was one thing that Darren and I did talk about, was all the schools that went to a 4-day work week, and not Noble. Noble wasn't in this number. But 30 of those schools, 30 out of 85, gave over a 20% pay raise to their superintendents. Some of those pay raises were double what they made. They went to a 4-day work week, and then they gave those superintendents. That's the school board. I think a lot of things that people need to look at in your local school board, because there's problems there. When you go to a 4-day work week, and I've got the stats here in my hand, you go to a 4-day work week, and you give your superintendent was making $80,000, $160,000. I mean, there's something wrong there. I mean, in my opinion, that's some waste that we saw. That's local control and on the local level of superintendents. Or with the.
Can you give us one more question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know whenever I get in deals like this, I'm not going to leave. Okay.
How do you feel about the number of school districts in Oklahoma? Do you think there should be fewer?
Yes.
How long are you going to yes?
We've got, I mean, is it 522?
537.
537. That doesn't count your charter schools or virtual schools. So 537 school districts, and you got on average they make at least 100,000. Yeah, we got a problem. We got a huge problem there. But nobody. Well, I take that back. There was a bill last year, but it went nowhere on. It's us urban guys can agree on it, but it's the rural vote that just kills it every time. And I think we need to. That's a compromise. We need to look past rural Oklahoma and urban Oklahoma and what's best for the state of Oklahoma. And yes, your superintendent may have to drive 60 miles to go to one school once a week. You know, that's got to happen.
Jacob?
I believe it's on a case-by-case basis. First of all, the reason why rural schools or rural areas are against it is because our schools are the lifeblood of these towns. So when you take a school away from one of these towns, you could be shutting down the town. That's what you got to look at. Now, when you're talking about, that's just closing down schools. When you're talking about a superintendent having more schools, I believe that's the question.
That was what I was talking about.
I would be willing to listen to that argument. I'd like to see what could be done, just to redistribute it. I would like to see it on the table to at least take a look at it. I think it's worthy of merit.
Okay.
I better go. My beautiful bride is waiting on me. We had a dinner planned a few weeks ago with some friends, and I better go. They're already there waiting on me, but that's okay. But I really enjoyed this. I'm sorry I'm not Darren, but I always like taking questions. That's why I have a little town hall deal once a month to get. I don't care, if you're a libertarian, Democrat, or what. I like to hear the people's voice. And I think Darren would be that kind of guy, wants to hear the people, want to know what they think, and put words to action. So,
And one more time, this representative back here, what's his name? Wait, raise your hand, would you please?
I forgot it was
Nick.
Nick, yeah.
Okay, Nick back here. After we're done, if you want to talk to Nick and get Darren's phone number and make some kind of contact, please touch base with him. Thank you very much.
Well, you bet. Thank you.
Okay, if you're all, you're on your own. I'm ready. Okay, beyond education, what are your three priorities?
Everybody knows that I got involved in politics. Well, maybe you don't know that I got involved in politics because as a teacher I saw this money, this corporatist idea of let's make more money, let's make more money. So I would like to make sure and be a warrior not just for our schools, but also against the money in politics. I know you can't kick it out all the way, but at least I can be, hey, here's a $10,000 lobster dinner. No, thank you. So, I mean, that's one thing I will tell you, that's the corporatist idea of our politics. I'd like to fight against that. Criminal justice reform, it just goes the same with schools. We're privatizing and then making money off it. You see it over and over and over again, and I'd like to see to bring people back. And I think that's what we're missing here in Oklahoma right now, is what do the people think? We're just kind of hearing kind of what lobbyists think, you know? We're kind of hearing what these guys think, but not what you and I think.
We've already had a lengthy conversation at the beginning about the fact that there's no money to do all the things that need to be done. As a legislator, what would be some of the criteria that you would use in considering that the budget crisis is going to be with us for a while, regardless of what happens in the next 6 months? So it's either going to get worse or it's not going to get a lot better real quickly. What criteria are you going to use to establish where the cuts are going to be?
It's a great question, and I've been thinking about this because as it stands, we're going into the next session $300 million in the hole, give or take a couple $100 million, because of the fact that the end of the session was fees and all of that just unconstitutional, whatever that was last session. It blows my mind. So I would have to just rely on the experts and try to see. It's awful that we even have to make any cuts at all, especially to our core services. That's really why I got involved in politics in the first place. DHS, medical care for everybody. These types of things are what we all need, and I am going to be asked to make cuts to these types of things. So again, I would just defer to the experts and my constituents, because that's really the only voices I will listen to 24/7 are my constituents, are the people.
Good luck.
I'm always listening. It's all right.
All right, let's see. Where are we going? Okay, well, please share with us who have been your greatest campaign contributors. You talked about politics, money and politics, lobbyists and money.
Sure, I'm very proud. This last year and this year, individual contributions outweigh everything else. That's because people believe in my message. Obviously, education is a ginormous issue. It's not going away because everybody is concerned about our schools right now, and that's because even businesses won't go to Oklahoma to invest anymore because they see the infrastructure issues, they see the education issues, and that's bad for business. So no matter how you look at it, those things can be fixed. But in answer to the question, I forgot what you said. OEA is one of my biggest backers, and I thank OEA very much. My own union, it's AFT Local 2309. That's my teachers' union. Yes, they back me. I'm proud to have their backing. Besides that, that's about it. Everybody else is an individual donation. Yep.
Okay. All right. Mr. McBride did get into the whole four-day week. Touched on it. He didn't really address whether it's a good idea or a bad idea specifically. But how do you feel about 4-day weeks in schools?
I have a unique vision or experience with the 4-day school weeks. As Mr. Solomon will tell you from Noble, I was at the meeting when they decided to go to 4-day school weeks in Noble, Oklahoma. I was the only legislator that was there at the time, even though I'm not a legislator. But I was there. I wanted to find out what was going on. We all know where it comes from. It's funding issues. And I was against it. Obviously, it's almost third world country. Vice News covered Noble. Vice News. Guys, I teach Vice at my school with ISIS in third world countries and Pakistan and India. Vice News came down to Noble to cover this. Now, here's what I will tell you, and this is just all about how great Noble's community is. They came together. They came together to make it work. It doesn't change the fact that it should never have happened. It's a survival tactic. But they came together to make it happen. Now, if you poll the parents out there, they're liking it. The kids like it. So that kind of changes my stance a little bit, at least on Noble. It really threw me off. But it's a sign of how great the community of Noble is. So, me personally, yeah, we got to get rid of the 4-day school weeks. I don't think we should legislate it because, again, it's there because it has to be. We're trying to save some money wherever we can and to stay solvent in our school districts.
But, okay, let me follow up that though. Do you think a 4-day school week has a place?
At this particular point, for survival, I do.
That's an educational philosophy.
No, it's a survival tactic. It's something because we don't have enough money to pay for the 5 days which are normal in the United States of America.
Okay. What place does standardized testing have in a 21st century education?
Oh, let me tell you. I know what the idea was behind standardized tests. I took one. I'm almost 40 years old. I took one Iowa Basic Skills Test. That was to see, hey, what level are you reading at? Hey, where are we going to go here in high school? It was 8th grade, right? That's a good standardized test. That showed me, hey, I read at a 12th grade level. Yay, so I could go to this grade. The way that it has been changed is a nightmare, and it's one of the reasons why I became political. I started teaching 6th grade, and I'm like, what is a benchmark? And why are there 50 million of them? Do the kids enjoy tests all of a sudden? I am really, really confused by this. But guys, what you don't understand is that we spend the majority of our time, when you're a tested subject, teaching to the test. And it comes right back to the A to F scale, which is an asinine way for accountability to be shown for our schools, because those are tied to the tests. So you know that those, you're going to go ahead and narrow your curriculum to try to make sure you don't get an F this time, or a D, to try to get a B, to get those scores up a little higher. It has changed education. We need to put tests right back where they belong, which, yes, there's a reason for them, to show us where we can put our kids. That's it. Not for punishment, not for hiring and firing decisions. Horrible, horrible idea for a test to be used for that way. I'm very passionate about that.
Did you support raising the teacher salaries by $5,000 per teacher? And I would add a second part to that. We'll give you a little extra time, Gary. Is teacher pay alone going to solve the problem?
No. No. Respect would solve the problem. Respect from the community to our teachers. What I've seen, I remember when I was a young child, why am I a teacher? I was a hard case. My teachers probably were just pulling their hair out. Claudia Swisher's right here, right now. She had me in 9th grade, God bless her. I was I'm a little bit of a rebel and 10th. I'm a little bit of a rebel, and I don't follow set rules. But I've forgotten what you're going to say. I'm so sorry.
The first part of the question was about supporting the teacher pay raise of $5,000.
No, yes, that's not enough. First of all, that's not enough. It needs to happen. It was lip service last year. How many of the bills that came out were bandied about by, pretty much one party? I hate to say it, but it was. We are going to take care of our teachers. By golly, don't worry about that penny sales tax. There's a better plan coming. Oh, but I didn't see the better plan because they didn't fund any plan. And I say they because it's a super majority at the State House. It's a they. It didn't get funded. and that is something that had to be funded, and it did not. And it's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the, I imagine they were just like, well, these people didn't vote for the penny sales tax, so we can just go ahead and say they obviously don't care about their teachers. It's kind of the way I kind of looked at it. But again, it comes down to a respect level for the profession of education. Profession. I am a teacher. I have a degree. I have a history degree. I have a history degree from OU. And guys, you want to know how much I make per year? I'm sure some of you teachers understand. I make $34,000 a year. And I'm a single dad with 2 children. Do you understand why I stepped up to do what I'm doing right now? Was it because I was picked? No, I wasn't picked or polished. I got angry like many of you are angry right now. And the reason why you should vote for me is because I feel your pain on an epic level and want to do something especially for our kids and the future of Oklahoma. I know it sounds like a stump speech, but that's exactly what I feel.
I'm kind of out of questions, guys.
Let's open up the class. Do we have any other questions, class? I'd like to answer anything for you if you want to.
Or does he have anything you'd like to post?
Yeah, I was going to say, well, you have 2 minutes to wrap up, but then you've done.
I wouldn't call it a rant, but I feel ranty, you know. So I mean, yeah, I can finish up. There's a couple things I want to bring up. I think Darren is a nice man. We're both Catholic. I met him and I wanted to give him a hug. He's a nice guy. Nice guy isn't going to change what we've got going on at the state level right now. Also, I won't attack him. You won't see a personal attack from me against him. He's a nice guy. Talk to him. However, the question that came, who was my biggest backers? Well, you have to understand who were his biggest backers. I believe Epic Charter Schools was in there. This is not an attack, this is what it is. I believe that American Federation for Children backs Darren Chambers. And that's not an attack, it's true. If you Google up, you will see it. And that's Betsy DeVos's group, guys. That group spent $170 million against every pro-education candidate that ran last year and beat every one of them. Beat every one of them. Now they didn't spend that money down here because Scott and I are pro-public education. So it didn't come out there. But my opponent is backed by Betsy DeVos and American Federation for Children. That is pro-voucher group. I don't know if he doesn't know that. It's concerning to me because I fight that every single day. So I think it's important to point that out. And again, no attacks. It's a true fact. You will see it. He's on their page. They're very proud of him. AFC.com. So there's that. And then just to finish up, do you see the passion that I have? This is the type of passion that I will bring to the State House every single day. Again, I'm a father and a teacher. I decided last year to run against Scott Martin pretty much knowing I was going to lose, guys. You know how hard it is to get up there and go in the doors and be like, yeah, hey, what's going on? And just do it again over and over again. But I'm smart. I knew he was going to turn out in 2018. Do you see my whole point? It was never a personal attack on Scott. It was to get a teacher into office in 2018. Now, I didn't know he was going to resign, so here I am. But we only have 2 weeks left. So if you'd like to volunteer, that's Lauren. She's right there. She's my campaign manager. We're all grassroots. We're all grassroots. And that's important for you guys to know. We got a volunteer sheet there. If you want to donate, I'll take donations. I just had a fundraiser recently. It was wonderful. 93 people showed up, and guys, those were real people, okay? They were people within the district. And so it's important to realize what you're going to get. You're going to get a real person who probably will talk just this much at the State House. And mind you, I did teach all day today, and it was not easy. I'm probably tired, but that's actually just normal. So I just kind of just go on and go on and go on and go on. And you wonder why. It's because of my children, your children, and the future of Oklahoma. It's under attack, and I will help fight to make sure that our schools are properly funded to the best of my ability every single day. Thank you so much.
energy and their participation tonight. We hope this presentation, the information you heard, and the questions answered have been helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. We will now distribute a commitment card. We would like to challenge you as a voting citizen to complete one or more of the tasks listed. As we know, we are stronger together through collective action, and your commitment represents the action that you are willing to take. While you are completing these, and before we adjourn, we'd also like to encourage you to stop by the tables stationed around the room to learn more about each of the organizations who helped put on this event tonight. When you've completed your commitment card, please turn it in before exiting this room. See that teaching strategy? There's that exit slip kind of thing. Thank you very much for your attendance tonight. Thank you to everyone who was in attendance, including the people who spoke in any way, shape, or form, the teachers, the students, the parents, those of you, please go and vote on the 12th. Hopefully this helps you make up your mind on what you're going to do. We did share the link in all of our groups, so you're welcome to repost the link to this live feed for people who missed it. And we hope you have a great evening. Thank you for coming.